The rifle felt wrong the moment Sergeant Dolan pressed it into her hands. He knew it was jammed, had known for 3 minutes, standing outside the briefing tent, watching the old woman approach across the dusty Afghan compound with that slow, deliberate walk that made everyone nervous. He handed it to her anyway, half as a test, half because something in his gut told him she deserved the weight of it. What happened next would stay with him for the rest of his life. Her name was Corporal Elena Vasquez, though nobody had called her that in 11 years. She had walked away from the army the same week her daughter was born, trading sniper scopes for playground swings and bedtime stories. She told herself she was done. She told herself the person who had lain motionless for 14 hours on an Iraqi hillside, a ghost, a version of herself she had buried under birthday cakes and school runs and the merciful noise of ordinary life. But grief has a way of digging things back up. Her daughter Maya had died 8 months ago. A roadside bomb? Same war, different decade, different desert. Maya had enlisted at 19 quietly, without telling Elena until the papers were already signed. Elena had screamed and cried, and then, because she was her mother's daughter, she had straightened her spine and driven her to the recruitment office herself. She had held it together all the way home. She had only broken once, alone in the kitchen, gripping the edge of the sink until her knuckles went white. You do not show the people you love how afraid you are. That is its own kind of sacrifice. So when General Harmon called her, retired, living in Colorado, working at a hardware store, and asked her to come identify some recovered equipment and personal effects, she said yes. Not because she wanted to, because Maya deserved someone who would not look away. Sergeant Dolan had not expected this woman. He had expected someone softer, someone undone. Brown eyes that cataloged everything in a room without appearing to move, and hands that did not shake when she accepted the jammed M107 sniper rifle with the kind of familiarity most people reserve for old friends. She turned the rifle over once. Then she cleared the jam in 4 seconds flat, without looking down, her fingers finding the mechanism by memory alone. Dolan stopped breathing. The other soldiers in the compound went quiet in the way that crowds go quiet when they sense they are witnessing something they do not fully understand. She handed it back to him, said nothing. He looked at the rifle, then at her, then said the only honest thing he could manage. "Who are you?" His face changed. He had heard the name before every serious sniper in the military had, but he had assumed. He went to the records office that same afternoon and pulled a file so thick it had its own rubber band. Inside was a photograph of a 23-year-old woman lying on a ridge in Fallujah. Rifle steady, expression calm, as though she were simply waiting for a bus, and a number, 427, confirmed eliminations, the highest recorded in U.S. military history. Never officially acknowledged, buried under classifications in politics and the particular discomfort powerful men feel when a woman does something they cannot explain. He found her sitting by the memorial wall where Maya's name had been freshly engraved. He sat beside her without asking permission. They stayed like that for a long time before he spoke. He told her what he had found. He told her that her record had been kept quiet deliberately, that the medal she had earned had more than earned had been sitting in a box in a Washington office for over a decade because someone had decided the optics were complicated. He watched her face as he spoke. Nothing moved in it except her eyes, which grew very bright and very still. Then she said something he never forgot. She said, "I didn't do it for the medal. I did it so other people's children could come home." She paused. "Mine didn't. So what exactly would I do with a medal?" He didn't have an answer. Not a replica, not a certificate to actual medal, retrieved overnight by channels he would never fully explain, signed by a general who had finally decided that some debts do not have an expiration date. He placed it in her hands without ceremony. She looked at it for a long time. On the back, someone had engraved her service number, and below it, in small clean letters, 427, not as a boast, as a record, as a witness. She closed her fingers around it. And for the first time in 8 months, Elena Vasquez cried. Not the clean cinematic tears of someone being filmed. The real kind, ugly and heaving and honest. The kind that means something important is finally being allowed to leave the body. Dolan stood with her. He did not tell her it would be okay. He did not tell her Maya's death had meaning. He just stayed, the way good soldiers stay, not because they have answers, but because no one should carry weight like that alone. She keeps the medal on the windowsill now, next to Maya's photograph. Some mornings she picks it up and holds it, not with pride exactly, but with something quieter and harder to name. A reckoning, a conversation between who she was, who she lost, and who she is still, stubbornly, inexplicably becoming. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that the heaviest sacrifices are often the ones nobody sees, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because some stories deserve to be witnessed. Thanks for watching.